Thanks for joining us at 10. I'm Kim Christensen.
And I'm Phil Lipoff. Denver's mayor is promising universal childcare program. Mike Johnston made that vow during his annual State of the City address tonight. 9 News reporter Spencer Soisher joins us live now. And Spencer, that's one of quite a few promises the mayor made tonight.
Yeah, it is. The mayor says that the city will have a plan in place for kids from birth up until about the age of kindergarten. He says it's too tough for parents in Denver to find affordable child care. So who's going to pay for this program and what will it look like? They don't know yet. Denver Mayor Mike Johnston's third State of the City address came with some fancy music, a lot of big promises, and even more, how are we paying for this questions.
We will create the Haynes-Gary Task Force, charged with delivering the plan to deliver on child care for all before the end of our second term.
Perhaps the mayor's biggest promise was something he'd do before the end of a second term, which he hasn't been elected to. Establishing an affordable universal child care system. How much will that cost and where's the money for that coming from?
Well, we won't know what it'll cost until we know what the system is going to build. What we want to do is figure out what their needs are, build a system that matches that, figure out what that system costs, and then what the revenue sources are we could use to support that.
In his speech, the mayor said the city would deliver 20,000 more housing units, along with what he's calling the Mile High Line, a path of large projects that have gone up or been approved in the city during his time as mayor.
We have resources in downtown. We have ownership of other sites. We have bond dollars that allowed us to buy land to use for housing. So we don't anticipate we need a new revenue source right now to fund that.
Last year, the city had a budget crisis and laid off 170 people and eliminated more than 660 positions. Will there be layoffs again in this upcoming budget cycle?
No, we have no plan for layoffs in this budget cycle, and we don't have a deficit this year because we made hard decisions last year.
The speech took a victory lap, too, on ways the city's fought back against the Trump administration, redeveloped portions of downtown, and brought in unhoused people. But is there anything the mayor would do differently?
I feel good about the way, you always want to solve problems sooner. I think with Flock, we knew people were concerned. That's why we asked to vote down the contract, and we said, let's take 3 months and figure out what a new parameter would be. We did that and then got rid of the contract.
The mayor said he planned to have a pilot in place to test the design of that child care program by next fall, which would come after the April mayoral election. And I just checked, Johnston has not filed the paperwork yet to run for a second term, but if you're talking about things that you'll have accomplished by the end of your second term, safe bet that you're probably running for another one. Live in Denver, Spencer Soisher, 9 News.
Spencer, thank you. A stretch of I-70 on the western slope remains closed at this hour following a mudslide. It's the same closure we told you about just this time last night. CDOT says 7 to 8 feet of water, mud, and large trees initially covered the roadway. As of 5:30 tonight, that is now down to 4 feet. 6 plow trucks along with trash pumps are being used to clear debris. Still, CDOT says they've run into some obstacles, including having to push water up a hill just to get to a drainage system.
Got a good amount of water that came down from this flash flood yesterday, and it came into a like a belly pan, and we can't get it out because every time we push it up with the trucks up to these other drains, it just flows back in. So that's where we're using multiple trucks.
CDOT is hoping to have the highway open before the morning rush.
Ooh, the good and the bad of the monsoon over western Colorado, right?
And here it is, Kathy.
Yeah,
coming
look
our way
behind me.
too.
You see that lightning and that rain behind me? That's Fort Collins. Guys, some of that moisture is making it into the northern Front Range tonight. We have had about 1/3 of an inch of rain in Fort Collins, about 1/2 an inch in the Longmont area, and over an inch of rain in Wellington. And the lightning has really been pretty spectacular over the course of the last half hour or so. So interesting night, not for Denver. We're kind of boring and dry, but things will be changing this time tomorrow. Temperatures in the upper 70s here at 10:04 in the evening. Watching that wind crank in. It's coming up out of the south and the east, but that wind shift from this morning's cool front allowed for some of that smoke and haze to move in. You probably noticed it when you stepped out today. So we're back under an air quality alert. But really the big story is all of the moisture coming into not just western Colorado, but Larimer County and Weld County. Heavy thunder showers with lightning around Eaton, Nunn, Wellington, Fort Collins, and Loveland. All of the flash flood watches and warnings have canceled, but there's still moisture across western Colorado. And finally, that band of showers is coming over Denver by about 3-4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. That's right. We're going to time all of it out for you and look ahead to the weekend in just a bit.
New tonight, a man now faces charges for bomb threats at 2 spots in Thornton. Police say those threats were called into the Thornton City Pool and the Margaret Carpenter Rec Center this afternoon. People were evacuated as a precaution. Officers didn't find anything suspicious at either location. They arrested a 28-year-old man and booked him into the Adams County Jail. Thornton police say there's no evidence that indicates today's threats were connected to the one received by Waterworld earlier this month, but they are in touch with Federal Heights Police. A police chase that started in Commerce City led to a crash involving an RTD bus in downtown Denver.
Yeah, police say they were trying to track down a woman who they say was the getaway driver in a weekend shooting. 9 News reporter Rachel Krause joins us now to break this all down. Rachel.
Yeah, the shooting victim from Sunday was taken to the hospital, but police say he was able to help police with the investigation. They arrested the alleged shooter, but it was the search for the suspected getaway driver that led officers on a pursuit across town today.
Working downtown's great. You know, there's never a boring time, but it's got to be one up there. For sure.
A calm Tuesday afternoon along Champa and the 16th Street Mall changed quickly.
There was a lot of cops here.
Josh was close to Sports Fan and spotted a few cops close by.
Right there by Sports Fans, when we heard the bang, I turned around and the 3 cops were already sprinting down towards the intersection. As soon as the bang happened, yeah, I mean, everyone came out of Modern Market, the Sports Fan store. People came out from everywhere to see what was going on.
A pickup truck had crashed into an RTD bus.
Yeah, I was surprised too.
Joanna Small with Commerce City Police says what ended on the mall first started Sunday at a 7-Eleven along Highway 2 and East 72nd near Rocky Mountain Arsenal.
A man was pumping gas there. An individual in a vehicle came up, fired multiple rounds at the person who was pumping gas, struck that person, and then fled the scene.
Small says officers found the alleged shooter later that day in Freedom Park. He was arrested and booked into the Adams County Jail.
But there was also another individual involved in this crime. There was a getaway driver, a female, and we knew who she was. We were able to identify her. We just hadn't been able to locate her yet.
Officers spotted the alleged getaway driver Tuesday in Commerce City, getting into the passenger seat of a truck. Police tried to pull them over, but they say the truck took off and officers pursued. Small says searching for someone suspected of accessory to attempted murder falls under the Commerce City pursuit policy of pursuing those wanted for violent felonies.
Yeah.
Officers followed them into Denver but lost the truck. That is, until it crashed into an RTD bus on the 16th Street Mall. Both the passenger and driver of the truck were hurt in the crash. Their injuries aren't life-threatening.
This all could have been avoided if they just pulled over.
The two in the truck that crashed today are both expected to face felony charges, the driver for eluding police and the passenger for accessory to attempted murder. The suspected shooter is being held in the Adams County Jail. He's expected in court on Thursday. Rachel Krause, 9 News.
Rachel, thank you. Leaders in Fort Collins got an earful from the public tonight on a proposal to bring paid on-street parking to Old Town. Right now, that kind of parking is free and mainly limited to 2 hours. The city says adding a paid parking system would bring in about $2.5 million annually. Supporters also say it would address parking availability in the area, but critics worry it could keep people away and businesses would take the hit. They spoke during the public comment period of tonight's city council meeting, even though that proposal was not on the agenda.
Paid on-street parking does not solve our parking issues.
I have not met one single customer, business owner, employee, salesperson, nor artisan that thinks any good would come from paid on-street parking.
How many of us small businesses are not going to be able to withstand an estimated 1.5 years of decreased traffic and sales, let alone an increase in customer complaints?
A work session for the paid parking proposal is set for August 11th.
New tonight, Summit County is getting more serious about fire restrictions during this historic drought. It's increasing the fines for violating them. County commissioners approved that change today. Deputies can now fine people up to $1,000 per violation. Before, it was $150 for the first offense, $500 for the second, and $1,000 for the third. The change applies to anyone caught violating fire restrictions in unincorporated areas of Summit County. Summit County remains under Stage 2 fire restrictions. That means all outdoor fires are banned, including campfires on private property in the backcountry and in developed campgrounds.
More people are being allowed back home as the Aspen Acres fire continues to burn in Custer and Pueblo counties. The fire is now 101,000 acres or 158 square miles. That is larger than the size of Denver. It's the 7th largest wildfire in Colorado history, and right now it's about 61% contained. More than 800 structures have been destroyed. More than 300 of those have been homes. Today, operations on the Ferris fire in Dolores and Montezuma counties temporarily came to a halt because of severe thunderstorms. There was flash flooding on the north side of the fire in Lone Dome State Wildlife Area, and crews were pulled off the fire line because of it. As of tonight, the Ferris fire has burned nearly 65,000 acres, or about 102 square miles, and crews have that 94% contained.